Hello friends, this video on basic geometrical ideas part 18 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. Now what about diagonals? Where do we have diagonals? Now there are no diagonals possible in a triangle. That's because we do not have non-adjacent vertices here, because all the vertices are adjacent to each other. So we do not have diagonals. Now when you talk about interior and exterior points, now anything that lies inside, maybe anywhere inside the triangle, they are all considered to be interior points, and anything that lies outside, no matter whichever side, whichever area, they are all exterior to the triangle. So now we'll talk about quadrilateral. As I have mentioned before, quadrilateral has four sides. Think of your blackboard or the book or a bed or your mobile phone. So everywhere you see that it is like the shape of a rectangle. Whenever you look at these objects, you can visualize a quadrilateral. Something which is a closed curve with four line segments and the boundary. So each of these represents a quadrilateral. Their outline represents quadrilateral. So quadrilateral is a polygon with four sides. So how do we name a quadrilateral? It is named as quadrilateral ABCD. But sometimes it is also written in short form as quad instead of writing the entire quadrilateral. And in fact, sometimes the quadrilateral itself is not written. We just write it as ABCD. Now, here the naming is little important, so just pay attention. So how do we name a quadrilateral? Now naming must be done in a cyclic manner. That means there is a sequence in which you will have to, the sequence that needs to be followed to name a quadrilateral. So on the screen we are shown this quadrilateral ABCD. Now what are the various ways in which we can name this quadrilateral? We can call it ABCD. We can also call it BCDA. That means B, then C, then D, and then A. We can also call it CDAB. We can also call it DABC. So, and all of these are correct. In fact, it is not necessary that you have to always, write it in this order. You can also write it in the reverse order. For example, you can call this as a ADCB quadrilateral. You can call it as DCBA quadrilateral. But the important thing is that whenever you are picking up any vertex, you need to write the adjacent vertex after that. So if you are moving in this direction, so after A you must write D, after D you must write C, after C you must write B. So you have to follow that cyclic sequence. So from whichever point you start, either clockwise or anti-clockwise, you have to follow that sequence to name a quadrilateral. Now all of these names for this quadrilateral are correct. Now let us say if someone says that I want to name this quadrilateral as ACBD. So what we have done, A, after A we have written C, then we have written B, then we have written D. So we are not going as per the cyclic sequence. Therefore, this is not the right naming of the quadrilateral. Similarly, you cannot name it as BDAC, because here also after B you should either write A or C. You directly cannot jump to D. So whenever you are naming a quadrilateral, you have to name it in a cyclic manner, whether you follow clockwise or anti-clockwise, but you have to name it in a cyclic manner. Now we will quickly look at the features of a quadrilateral. Sides again, so here as you can see we have four sides of the quadrilateral, that is AB, BC, CD and DA, and all of these are line segments. Now here we will observe another interesting thing. Now in quadrilateral there are sides which are located one after another. That is, they share a common vertex. For example, if you look at AB and BC, when you look at these two, do you think that AB and BC, they share a common vertex? Yes, of course, B is a common vertex. AB also has B, BC also has B. So B is a common point. So any two sides which share a common point, they are called adjacent sides. So can you tell me any other adjacent side? Of course, BC and CD again are adjacent because they have a common point, which is C. So BC and CD are also adjacent. CD and DA for that matter are also adjacent. Now what about those sides which do not have a common point? Do we have sides like that? Of course, when you look at AB and CD. So do we have a common point? AB and CD. We do not share a common point. So these sides are called opposite sides. So AB and CD are opposite sides. Similarly, AD and BC are opposite sides. So AD and BC are also opposite sides. So opposite sides, those which do not share a common point, adjacent sides which share a common point. Let's talk about the next feature, that is vertices. So here, which are the vertices we have? Again, vertices are A, B, C, D. In vertices also we have adjacent vertices. For example, A and B are adjacent vertices. A and D are adjacent vertices. But A and C, they are non-adjacent vertices or opposite vertices, whatever you call them. Third, angles. So which are the angles that are involved here? So we have 4 interior angles involved here. So let us try to name the angles. Angle DAB, angle ABC, angle BCD, and angle CDA. So these are the 4 angles which are involved here. In case of angles also, the angles which share a common side, they are called adjacent angles. So in this case, which are the adjacent angles? For example, angle DAB and angle ABC. These are adjacent angles. Why? Because this angle and this angle share a common side, that is AB. Similarly, this angle and this angle, they are adjacent angles because they share a common side BC. But which will be the opposite angles? Angle A and angle C. These two are opposite angles because they do not share a common side. Similarly, this angle and this angle, they are opposite angles because again they do not share a common side. So they are opposite angles. So the last one, that is diagonals. In this case, do we have diagonals? Of course, because we have non-adjacent vertices here. Which are our non-adjacent vertices? B and D, A and C. So the line which joins non-adjacent vertices, they are the diagonals. So how many diagonals can we have here? We have 2 diagonals, that is AC and BD. So overall, when we look at any quadrilateral will have 4 sides, 4 angles, 4 vertices, and 2 diagonals. So this would constitute any quadrilateral. Now, as I have mentioned before also, that in quadrilateral also we have many types of quadrilateral, and that is basically depending on whether the sides are equal or not, whether their angles are equal or not, whether opposite sides are equal or not. So depending on all those criteria, we decide the various types of quadrilateral which you will study in your higher classes. But for now, you should know these basic features of a quadrilateral. Now, another interesting thing that we will observe is, have you noticed that we have triangles inside quadrilaterals? Now, you might ask how? Where do we have triangles in quadrilaterals? Now, right now, what do you see on the screen? On the screen, we see a quadrilateral ABCD. Now, if I ask you to draw a diagonal, you can very easily draw a diagonal. Now, the moment you draw a diagonal, do you observe what happened? You have actually split the quadrilateral into 2 halves, and each half is a triangle. So you see, these are the 2 halves into which we have broken it. One is triangle ABC, the other one is triangle ACD. So basically every quadrilateral can be divided into 2 triangles with the help of its diagonal. In a similar way, if we would have drawn this diagonal, in that case also we would have gone 2 triangles, that is triangle ABD and triangle BCD. So that's another interesting thing, that every quadrilateral can be split into 2 triangles with the help of a diagonal. Thank you. Please visit examfear.com for free quality education. You can learn with a simple 4-step learning process wherein you can watch video lessons, you can ask your questions, you can refer notes, and you can take a free online test. We have content for class 6 to 12 on physics, chemistry, mathematics, and biology along with practical videos. So please subscribe to our channel for daily updates. Thank you.